more games. Don't worry, I promise. So if you want to get better at this game, there's like a few methods you can employ, okay? The first and the most obvious is to just play with better players, right? When you play with better players, I think it's pretty obvious, but I'll say it anyways. When you play with better players, wow, that's a really cool set. I wonder what the Treants are. Anyways, when you play with better players, you can watch them play, and then it's just like it's like cheating on a test. Like, you can see all of the answers right before your very eyes. You know, somebody's 7K and they're playing like a god. You know, you're probably gonna be like, well, you may think one of two things. Either A, you'll be overloaded. You'll be like, oh, I can never do that. Or B, you'll say, hey, I can do that. I just need to study what he's doing and mimic it as best I can. But I don't really recommend that method too much because even though I'm streaming games and I'm telling you guys to watch my stream because I think I'm good at the game, I don't really recommend that you guys follow that method of learning the game that strictly, because that won't teach you how to get better than 7K. That'll just teach you how to get to 7K, which sounds appealing, but hear me out. This is the other way that you can improve, and I think this is the best way to improve at the game. Personally, if you want to copy the shit out of Wire Guitars, this is what I recommend, okay? Is you sit down, you watch some of your replays. You know, you don't have to watch every single one of them. If a game is an absolute fucking stomp either way, then maybe you made some obvious mistakes that you can just say, hey, I made that mistake. I don't need to watch this torment all over again. This 40, this 30, this 20-minute torment all over again. If it's a stomp, it's probably a 20-minute GG, and every lane likely lost, so there's no reason to watch that. But you know, say a 45-minute game where you had a few early deaths and you kind of picked it back up and maybe you guys ended up losing the game anyways, is a good game for you to watch, because you can go back, you can see why specifically you died, and then you can see how you picked yourself back up, and then you can see the downfall of your team even though you tried to pick yourself back up off your feet. You know, those are good games to watch. Those are good games. Yes, those are good games, in my opinion, to watch, because they tell you the most about the game. You get all the information laid out right in front of you. You know, you made early game. When I played offlane a lot, if I ever died, especially on Earth Spirit, or even if I was playing Broodmother, like heroes that are pretty survivable that shouldn't have problems, right? If you die, that's probably on your end, because the hero has every tool needed to win that lane. Especially Broodmother. Broodmother's a hero like, especially with this patch, even though she got nerfed. You can eat trees with Quelling Blade. You can eat them with tangos and stuff. Like, it's so easy. You just gotta start sentry wards, and she has all the tools at her disposal to at least never die in her lane, in my opinion. Even though it can be kind of difficult against a triple stun tri lane that buys sentries from the very start of the game, you still shouldn't die. And so if you do die, you can go back and watch your replay and say, hey, why did I die here? Is it because I didn't have a ward to watch their supports and see when they're going in on me? Or is it because of this? Or is it because of that? Like, there's a plethora of reasons why you might, I'm being serious, there's a plethora of reasons why you might not be able to win the early game. And if you're picking smart, then it's probably your fault. Does that make sense? If you're picking good heroes, then it's probably your fault why you're not winning the early game. If you're not picking good heroes, then it's still your fault, but it's your fault because you're not picking good heroes, right? That makes sense? If you're going against a tri-lane with triple stuns, then you probably need a hero with an escape. This isn't League of Legends. This isn't a game where you can just outskill your opponents constantly and walk on eggshells throughout the entire laning phase, okay? This is Dota, where stuns last 4 or 5 seconds on average. So if somebody stuns you, that likely means your death in the early stage of the game, because a few right clicks and an Orb of Venom is all they need to close the gap and remove you out of the game, okay? You need to understand the game better, and you can understand the game a lot better if you keep dying over and over again. And say, if you keep dying and you go on tilt and then you like quit Dota, then that's a bad way to improve. You are like me, you can talk about Dota all day. I certainly could. I could talk especially about improving all day, because that's something that doesn't just constrain itself to Dota. I could talk about making yourself a better player or a better person, literally, for a very long time. I've been on a very, very solid win streak recently, and I appreciate that very much. We're rising back up to 4.7K. I gotta go.